Bibles should be opened to Numbers chapter 21. Numbers chapter 21. Bible there, Micah. Numbers 21. Numbers 21, this is lesson 64. We left, that's wrong. It should be lesson 63. My mistake. Israel goes around Edom. So if you were looking on Showy for 64, that was wrong. And it's Numbers chapter 20. Sorry, I turned to the wrong page here. So in your Bibles, Numbers chapter 20. Lesson 63, Israel goes around Edom. We came to the end of the wandering in the wilderness last time. The people were ready to enter the land. We saw the foolishness and the bitterness of the children of those former Israelites who had died while doing those 40 years of wandering. And they had grumbled and complained. The Lord had punished them. And now it's time for them to see how they can get into the land. They're there. Now they need to get there. And we know on our maps there's some different ways that they could have gone. They could have gone straight north. They could go to the east. Could have gone to the west. Lots of different ways. But God had a specific way for them, and that's what we'll read about here. So starting at verse 14 of chapter 20. Okay? And Moses sent messengers from Kadesh unto the king of Edom. Thus saith thy brother Israel, thou knowest all the travail that hath befallen us, how our fathers went down into Egypt, and we have dwelt in Egypt a long time, and the Egyptians vexed us and our fathers. And when we cried unto the Lord, he heard our voice, and sent an angel, and hath brought us forth out of Egypt. Behold, we are in Kadesh, a city in the uttermost of thy border. Let us pass, I pray thee, through thy country. We will not pass through thy fields, or through the vineyards, neither will we drink of the water of the wells. We will go by the king's highway. We will not turn to the right hand, nor to the left, until we have passed thy borders. And Edom said unto him, thou shalt not pass by me, lest I come out against thee with the sword. And the children of Israel said unto him, we will go by the highway, and if I and my cattle drink of thy water, then I will pay for it. I will only, without doing anything else, go through on my feet. And he said, thou shalt not go through. And Edom came out against him with much people and with a strong hand. Thus Edom refused to give Israel passage through his border, wherefore Israel turned away from him. So now that they're ready to enter the land, they're on the edge of the border of the country of Edom. To pass through any country would, with that many people, would almost be declaring war on that country. Moses knows that there is wisdom in seeking out permission to go through the land. And so he sends some messengers to the king, some of his wise men. Sends them to the king of Edom. And the king of Edom, you can imagine these men either coming up to his palace or knocking on the door, saying who they are, who they're there to represent. The messengers going into the king of Edom and telling who is there to talk to them. And does he eagerly invite them in? Does he hesitantly invite them in? We don't know. But anyways, they are able to come before the king of Edom. And there they make sure the king of Edom knows about their history. We are the people that once lived in this land. Our father, Jacob, his 12 sons and their many offspring. And we left this land to go down to Egypt, Canaan, they're talking about, not Edom, but Canaan. And while we were there for a long time. We were troubled by Pharaoh and his hosts. God sent an angel to deliver us and take us out of the land. Then we wandered in the wilderness. You've probably heard some of the stories and trials and travails and difficulties we've had there. And now we are ready to come and return back to our land, the land of Canaan. Now that they've got the history all out of the way, now they actually get to the matter at hand. O king of Edom, we want to pass through your country. You see, we want to end up on the east side of the Jordan River. We've got to go around the Dead Sea. The easiest path for us would be to take your beautiful highway, the King's Highway, through the land of Edom. That's the surest and fastest and safest route for us to go. Can we please go down that road? Because we surely would not like to have to go all the way around the outside of your country. It would add much time onto our travels. Travels would be difficult through that dusty, hot, barren land. Please let us pass through the midst of your land on the King's Highway. That's their request. And they even go beyond that. Not just requesting that, but they say there's some stipulations, King. As we're going on that highway, we won't step off into the fields to the right and take anything over there, or we won't step off into the fields to the left and take anything there. We will stay, us and our families and our animals, on the King's Highway. We won't take any water, we won't take any possessions, we won't do anything. None of those things. Okay? We won't get into, we're a large group. We won't have animals and people trampling through your cornfields, destroying them. We won't allow our animals to go in there and begin to munch and eat on the food that they see over there. We won't pass through your vineyards and take your grapes as food. No, the Lord supplies our food for us. He gives us manna each day. And so these men present their case before the king of Edom of why they should be let go. Now, they're probably hoping that a few things apply here. First of all, notice that when they spoke to him, he said, "Thus saith thy brother Israel." These are long descendants of Esau and descendants of, who was Esau's brother? Jacob. We're descendants. We're like family. Let us through the land. That's one reason. He's probably hoping, secondly, by telling some of the stories these men are, that the king of Edom will maybe have some compassion on them. They've had a hard journey, a difficult time. And so he'll see their lot, and he'll say, I'll have compassion on you. Yes, use the King's Highway. That's not the case, though. The king of Edom flatly refuses. No way. They know what's going on. They know that this nation will come and possess the land of Canaan. He doesn't feel sorry for them at all. In fact, he's probably afraid of them, knowing that at some point they could come and attack him. So the king here first says no. Now let's quick take a look at that and compare it to us. We're on a journey. We're on the journey of life through this world that God has put us in. It's not an easy journey. Some parts of it are easier, some parts of it are difficult. We're on the same journey. We can compare that to Israel. And here, they want to pass through Edom. And as they would be passing through Edom, the people on the sides who would probably be watching them with great interest, right? If a troop of 1,000 people came walking past your house, you might go out on the front porch and watch them pass by. And the people that Israel would be passing by are those wicked. They're the world. As Christians, we pass through this wicked world too. And just like Israel made a request, we got to pass through this land because of God. We want to pass through this life, and we ask for certain things too. We want freedom to worship in our own church. We request freedom to read the Scriptures. We request freedom to have our own schools. We request freedom to be able to pray to God, to be able to support God's causes with our finances. Those are requests that we make, that at this time are granted to us. But the king of Edom says no here. He doesn't want them passing through his land. He's afraid of them. So these men make one other. They say, well, let's make it profitable for the king of Edom. Let's not just say we're going to pass through. Why don't we offer, because there's no way we can pass through without drinking some of his water, let's offer to pay him. Not only will we pass through, but we'll make it financially beneficial to you, O king. We'll pass through this land and you can make some money. Money is not what's important to this king. He doesn't want to lose his throne. He doesn't want to lose his place. He knows, probably in his heart of hearts, that this eventually will be a nation that's great in the land and will be somebody that he's going to have to deal with. So what does he do? He flatly says no. Even though there's financial benefits for him, he refuses. He says absolutely not, and he comes out with a host of the Edomites there by the border to show that he is ready to battle. If you dare to come into our land, we will fight you. And that is something that the Israelites are not prepared for yet. It is not something. So God has determined this already. It's God's way. God wants the Israelites to have to go around Edom. He wants to teach them. He wants to instruct them. Just as God instructs us in our lives with difficulties and trials in our lives. So that's what's going on here. That's the king's answer. So what is the result? What happens? What do the Israelites decide to do? Take a look at verse 22 of Numbers chapter 20, verse 22. And the children of Israel, even the whole congregation, journeyed from Kadesh and came unto Mount Hor. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in Mount Hor by the coasts of the land of Edom, saying, Aaron shall be gathered unto his people, for he shall not enter into the land which I have given unto the children of Israel, because ye rebelled against my word at the water of Meribah. Take Aaron and Eleazar his son, and bring them up unto Mount Hor, and strip Aaron of his garments, and put them upon Eleazar his son, and Aaron shall be gathered unto his people, and shall die there. And Moses did as the Lord commanded, and they went up into Mount Hor in the sight of all the congregation. And Moses stripped Aaron of his garments, and put them upon Eleazar his son, and Aaron died there in the top of the mount, and Moses and Eleazar came down from the mount. And when all the congregation saw that Aaron was dead, they mourned for Aaron 30 days, even all the house of Israel. People are not going to be allowed to pass through. Instead, at the border of Edom here, before they begin traveling, God has something else happen. They're at the base, at the foot of Mount Hor. And before they go any further, they aren't to the land quite yet. Aaron could have lasted longer, but God has a way that he wants things to go. And so it's time for Aaron to die. He can't enter the land because of his sin there that he and Moses had done with the striking of the rock. And therefore, it's time for Aaron to die. Imagine that. You can look at that as both a positive and a negative, knowing the day we will die. It's nice because you can say your goodbyes. You can speak to a person one last time instead of it being a sudden and difficult death that comes by someone. But at the same time, how difficult is it to say goodbye, to know that you'll never see them again, when your health is probably pretty good? But that's the case here. Today's day is the day that Aaron must die. And so Moses takes Aaron and also Eleazar his son, who will become the next high priest, and he takes them up into Mount Hor, a ways away from where the people can see them. The people can no longer see what's going on. And exactly how that ceremony went, we don't know exactly. There are some clues. We know that Aaron must have gone up into the mount in Mount Hor wearing the priestly garments, the robe, the breastplate with those 12 stones on it, the hat, the mitre, some type of staff. And he walked off into the mountains and the people could see him. Did he say goodbye to his wife and his children and grandchildren and those that he loved? Most likely. And off he goes. How exactly did he die? Did his heart stop? Did he stop breathing? We don't know. But up in that mount, those garments are taken off of Aaron and put on Eleazar. Aaron dies. Okay. Doesn't say there anything about him being buried. We can imagine Moses losing his brother weeping. Eleazar, the son of Aaron, sad and weeping too. Probably taking his body, putting it in a shallow grave, covering it with rocks, doing something. And then heading back down the mountain, just the two of them, back to the congregation of Israel. And here the congregation sees Eleazar. Now Eleazar is wearing the priestly garments of the high priest, that breastplate with the 12 stones in the head and everything else that the high priest would wear. He is their new God-ordained high priest. And now, because Israel has lost a great leader, great spiritual leader in Aaron, the people mourn. We see here for 30 days they remain there mourning. Okay. Then it becomes time to move on. Time to start passing around Edom. Look at Numbers chapter 21. We'll start there at verse 4. And they journeyed from Mount Hor by the way of the Red Sea to compass the land of Edom. That means to go around it. And the soul of the people was much discouraged because of the way. They were not happy with how things are going. And the people spake against God and against Moses. Wherefore have ye brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there is no bread, neither is there any water, and our soul loatheth this light bread. And the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, and much of the people of Israel died. So let's take that part first there. They begin their journey. It's a hot, tiring journey. None of us would like to be told, hey, you're going to march today for 20 miles all day. You're going to get done your rest, and you're going to wake up the next day and you're going to march another 20, and then another 20. And it's going to be hot, and it's going to be dry and barren and desolate. It's going to be miserable. None of us would look forward to that, and neither do the people here. And so they begin to grumble and they begin to complain. They should have been thankful that God was bringing them to their home and watching over them and giving them their daily bread. But that's exactly what they complain about, their daily bread that God supplies to them. They don't go hungry. People aren't dying for lack of food out here. They just don't like that they have to eat the same old thing day in and day out. Are we ungrateful when we open our lunch boxes and there again is that peanut butter and jelly sandwich or that bologna or those slices of apple? Do we grumble and complain? We shouldn't. We should be thankful. None of us are dying for lack of food. And that's what the people are doing here. They are not happy with that manna. And so what does God do? Because they blame God and they blame Moses and said we'd rather die in Egypt than be here. Well, you ungrateful people, they need to be punished. They need to be taught a lesson. And so God sends fiery serpent snakes in that desert. And they bite the people. You can imagine their heels or their feet or their legs, or if they're sitting down, their hands, or lying down, their arms. But they're bit somewhere on their body. And that venom that comes from those snakes is deadly venom. It's venom that can kill them very quickly. Probably within a matter of minutes. Well, what are they going to do about that? How are they going to be preserved? Verse 7, let's continue on here. Therefore the people came to Moses and said, we have sinned, for we have spoken against the Lord and against thee. Pray unto the Lord that he take away the serpents from us. And Moses prayed for the people, and the Lord said unto Moses, make thee a fiery serpent, and set it upon a pole, and it shall come to pass that every one that is bitten, when he looketh upon it, shall live. And Moses made a serpent of brass, and put it upon a pole. And it came to pass that if a serpent had bitten any man, when he beheld the serpent of brass, he lived. That venom passing through the blood or the nervous system of these Israelites after being bitten is a picture of sin passing through our body. It overtakes us. It numbs us. It makes us unable to be alive. Sin causes death. The only way to be saved from that type of death, from the death of sin, is salvation through Jesus Christ. And so a picture is made here. God tells Moses, Moses, the people have cried and I've heard their cry. Here is what you shall do. Make a brass serpent. Put it upon a tall pole. Wind it around. Stick it there, maybe in the middle of the camp of the Israelites in the sand where they can see. And as they are bitten by those snakes, when they turn and make their way and they look upon that brass serpent, they should be reminded of the great sacrifice that one day will have to be made by my Son, Jesus Christ. And they will be saved. They will not die from their sickness or illness. Some died. Some died because the serpent hadn't been made yet. Some died because they refused to look. They were stubborn. But many lived. Now we know that Israel was a mixed multitude. There were many ungodly with the godly. Did they really believe? Well, that is not expressed here. They had to look upon the pole and they would be saved. The ungodly looked and they were saved. But they didn't believe. They didn't truly see that as Christ. The godly, they looked and they too were saved. But when they looked, they saw with hearts that believed, that knew that that was a beautiful picture of Jesus Christ one day being on the cross that would save them. That was a beautiful picture there. And so, during this time period when these snakes are biting the people, the venom is running through their bodies, they can look and they see that brass serpent, and God will not cause them to die. They had life because of what they saw up there on that pole, that brass serpent, that picture of Jesus. We know that too. We have life because of Christ on the cross. So when they looked, those people who looked with faith. They trusted, they believed that by looking up there they would be saved. But there were only some who not only had that type of faith that they could be saved that way, but they also had faith that showed they would be saved from their sins eventually one day too, by Christ dying on the cross. Where do you see that symbol today? Anybody know? You come across it quite frequently, where you see a pole with a snake wrapped all the way around it, going up it. Still used today. Colin? Anybody in the medical field. Hospitals. If you go to the hospital, a lot of times it will say Dr. So-and-so. And the logo will include on the logo a pole with a serpent wrapped around it. Okay? Many logos for ambulances use them. Many things in the medical field use those. You'll see those. You pay attention to them. You might not have paid attention the next time you have to go to the doctor's office and check out their diploma up there on the wall or anything along those lines, or certificates. Look for that little snake wrapped around a pole. The idea that that's what doctors do. They heal. They try to heal their patients. So that's why they use this picture, even though they're probably ungodly, and most of them probably don't even know. You could ask them that, do you know what that symbol's from? And see if they know. Don't be afraid to say you're a Christian. Be afraid to say, well, I learned about that in school in our Bible class. It's a picture of Moses. Moses made that serpent on the pole. Don't be afraid to do that. But anyways, pay attention. Maybe you'll see some of those too. So that's where we'll leave off. The people are on their way around Edom. Whined and complained once again and been punished. But we'll pick it up from there next time. Mm-hmm.